Last week, we were talking about managing me. And sometimes managing yourself can be easier than other things. One of the challenges about not being as a part of a team, if you're a leader or a business owner, or just trying to manage yourself, is motivating yourself. When you have a team, there's people around you, there's situations, so there's lots of opportunities for motivation. When you're by yourself and it's Monday morning at 7:14 a.m., sometimes it can be challenging to motivate ourselves or me. So we're going to have a conversation this week about motivating me. Today, we're going to talk about when it's challenging and more. All that on episode 936 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote provides an opportunity for business owners and leaders to discover what is real for them and to be impacted by what is real for others. That is the Renegade way. Let's get real. We all face challenges and get stuck occasionally and are looking for an antidote. Each weekday, this show dives into a topic that may have you stuck, frustrated, and uncertain. Our goal is to share our value in an effort to help you find that one thing, the antidote to your challenges, so that you can get results and make more money. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hello?
You there?
I am. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm having some technology challenges because it's Monday.
I can
Not
tell.
only do I have to motivate myself, but I have to be able to do the things I need to do.
Fair enough.
It's a great
Look.
topic for a Monday morning.
Probably is a great topic for every morning.
No, I find Mondays are tough and Sunday evenings are tough. Like I talked to two people yesterday who said they were not looking forward to work today.
Probably because they had too much fun
Both
over the
people
weekend.
I would have expected to be excited about work.
Okay.
So, and I
Anything that's different than Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning or Thursday morning or Friday morning?
I usually find Sunday into Monday's tough because you've had the weekend and now you're back and you've got to focus and it's not always clear what you're going to do on Monday.
Why is that?
I feel like when Monday comes, you go through Monday and Tuesday makes sense. But because you're out of the rhythm, because Friday came and then you have 2 days typically of break, you have to restart the engine.
Okay.
That's just me.
Do you know what you're doing today?
I do. I've got a long list of things to do today because I was goofing off on Friday. So I've got a little catch up to do. Oddly enough, today's the day where I only had one meeting. It's already finished. The rest of the day is meeting free. So it's unusual for me. You know, I don't like that usually, but today I like that because I've got lots of things to do. I've got a to-do list of about 20 items. And I know you say to-do list of 20 items, you'll never get done 20 items. There's no shot. Yes, I know.
Well, so how do you motivate yourself?
I've got five. I've got five I really need to focus on.
That's a lot too for one day.
Indeed, indeed. But one of the things that motivates me is to have a list to work off of. And it's interesting when I don't have a list, it usually means I'm not real busy. And there's a certain tipping point where I have to write down everything I need to do for the day. And that's when I know I'm busy. When I'm not super busy, if you said to me, hey, what's your to-do list for today? I'd be like, well, I might do this, I might do this. But when I start to get busy, that's when I'm more focused and I have that list. And that list motivates me. I like checking things off. And when I'm most challenged, when there are the most things that I need to get done, having that list grounds me.
It doesn't overwhelm you?
No, it doesn't. And I would compare it to going to the grocery store, right? I go to the grocery store often with no list. And because of that, I have 3 bottles of Italian dressing in my pantry. I only need one. But I have 3 because 3 times I've gone to the grocery store and said, oh, I need Italian dressing. And I buy Italian dressing. Now, conversely, when I have a list, I only buy the things on the list or maybe something sweet that's on sale. I'm much more effective. And one of the things that motivates me when I'm in the grocery store, because it can be drudgery to go to the grocery store, is getting the things checked off on the list. I use my little Apple phone, and it's got the little thing that when you press the button on the list, it goes away and it's at the bottom and it's all crossed out. I like that feeling. So that's one of the things I do when I'm challenged with, oh, I got to remember to get this. Like, what was the thing? There was something at the grocery store I must have gone to. Oh, a little funnel. I needed a little funnel. Well, I'd been to a grocery store. I'd been to Walmart. I'd been to Target. I'd been to kitchen stores. All these different places never bought a funnel. Finally found a funnel, bought a funnel.
You funneling beers now, Bob?
No, not funneling beers.
Big party at the
no, I was trying to pour something from a big container into a little container. And it wasn't working when I did it without a funnel. So with a funnel, it worked much better.
Fair enough.
There you go. Or
so is it the fact that because you like to be busy?
I do like to be busy, yes.
Creating a list that says to you, oh, look at all these things I have to do. I'm a pretty busy person. That's motivating.
No, I think the list gives me order to the chaos. And I don't feel as if I'm lost. So one of the things that can make me demotivated is when I have a day where I don't know what I'm going to do. So for instance, today would normally be, well, I had one meeting, it's already finished. I'd be like, Tom, I'm worried I don't have anything to do today. What am I going to do? Well, today I've got that list of 20 items. There will not be downtime today in what I need to do. I've got things I need to get finished. I've got to go to the dry cleaners. I've got to take a package back to Amazon. I've got to get a bid on a website for a client. I've got to do some outreach for a client. I've got a couple of follow-up calls to make. I've got a lot of things that I need to do. And I think what motivates me is having that just knowing what they are. What I find with a lot of my clients I talk to, when they're unmotivated, it's usually because they don't feel a sense of purpose. If I have a list, I'm checking things off the list, I feel like I have a purpose. Even if some of that purpose is personal stuff today. Going to the dry cleaners to pick up the 5 shirts that have been there now for a week. Going to take a package back to Amazon because it was the wrong size or something. Its package is sitting in the back of my car. It's been sitting in the back of the car all weekend. I've looked at it countless times. It just needs to go. Oh, I also have to put air in one of my tires.
Okay.
So those are the types of things that typically I will forget to do. But because they're on the list, they're more apt to get finished.
So is it the list or checking off the list that's what motivates you?
I think it's the checking off the list is what makes me feel like I've accomplished something. What motivates me is to feel useful. So the day where I have no meetings, I don't feel useful.
Okay.
And that's a big thing to me. And I've heard owners and leaders say that, like, I worked with an owner who cut a big deal on one Tuesday, like a big deal for his company. And then Thursday we're talking, it's like, yeah, I just don't feel like I've done any work the last couple of days. I've just been sort of sitting around. I had a couple of meetings. I managed a couple of things, but I haven't really done a whole lot. I feel like, I'm getting money for not working. I'm like, so let's go back to Tuesday. You told me this was a deal that they didn't think you could pull off, and you pulled it off. And not only did you pull it off, but you pulled it off with really favorable terms. What if that was your output for the week?
Maybe the month.
Perhaps even the year. Big. I mean, we're talking multi-million-dollar deal. This is not like $50 or anything. Really a big deal that could lead to additional deals. But he did not feel like he had, once he got it done, and he had been working on it for a couple of weeks, meetings and follow-up and this and that. But once he got finished, it's sort of like, all right, I'm not doing anything. And when he told me that, I laughed at him. I literally laughed out loud. I'm like, oh, you're joking, right? He's like, no, I'm serious. This is Thursday. I'm like, did you take a victory lap? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, did you go around and like have everyone give you high fives? He's like, well, they did take me out to lunch. And okay, great. But he was worried that he wasn't proving his worth to the company. And I think a lot of times owners and leaders have the struggle that if things are going well and they're not needed every minute, they have no value. Which is why I think a lot of leaders and owners leave their doors open and have employees come constantly to their door and go, hey, Tom, can I ask you a question? And often it's a question that they could solve on their own. They could answer on their own, but they're so conditioned to coming to ask Tom about the question because Tom or anyone else wants to feel useful. So every time someone comes and asks you a question, you feel useful. Versus being able to sit in your office for 6 hours and go, wow, no one's asked me a question. Everything's humming along. The widgets are being made perfectly. I'm doing a pretty good job here. Maybe there's a problem that might come 5 minutes later, right? And I remember a long time ago, I wrote a story about a firefighter, of all things. They were having a whole bunch of arson fires in a community. And it turned out it was a firefighter who did it. And he went to court and got convicted. And at the sentencing, the judge asked him, why did you do it? I was bored. We weren't getting any fire calls. It was summer. There was no fires. But think about that. If you're a firefighter and there are no fires, you're not able to do what you're expected to do. So you start to worry about it. And I think that's where being motivated, if you have, I worked with someone who had a meeting on Monday morning. Every Monday morning they had a staff meeting, had to be prepped for that meeting. He had to do work over the weekend or Friday to get ready for that meeting, but he was always motivated to go work because he knew this was an important meeting, got to have the meeting. They also had donuts. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Well, it's interesting, I think in those scenarios,
mm-hmm.
the motivation is that all the things we're doing aren't cumulative. That right. It's only when we get a result or only when we feel like we're needed do we get motivated. And that when we're unmotivated, it's because we don't feel like we have anything that we have to do that we can get a result from. Like for you,
right?
If you don't have a list and means you have to take action, and with those actions you get to cross it off, you feel unmotivated. Rather than valuing all the things that you can do when you have nothing to do.
Right.
Could be mental. It could be, you might also find new things or other things that you can do and not feel like that may actually have more value to you and your work than all those 20 things on your list. As you said, some are personal, which is okay.
Right.
Good personal. Sometimes you have to find time to do personal stuff.
Right. Right. But think about how I had to say that.
Correct, because that's where you see the value is in doing things.
No, in the personal. Like, by the way, those are personal things, but I am doing some work stuff also.
Because it's 9 to 5, and heaven forbid that you aren't working 9 to 5. only on work stuff.
Not 9 to 5 today, more like 5 to whatever. Flip that around a little bit.
Well, and I think that's part of the challenge, right? Is that we don't always see what it is that we're doing and the value of what we're doing. And unless, especially for you, you write it down or you look at your calendar and be like, oh, look at all these things I have to do. And, and I think that sometimes we get caught up with action as more important than inaction that could be more valuable.
Well, and the time we save. Like I was working with a client before this morning, and there was something that we were discussing, and I said, I can take care of that for you in about 5 minutes. And he said, oh, last time I got that done, it took about 4 hours. And the person billed him for 4 hours. I literally said I could do this in 5 minutes just because it's easy and me. I've done it a million times. The person who did it that was going to take 4 hours, it wasn't something that they did very often. And so this client might look and say, Bob only spent 5 minutes working on this thing for me. However, when you look at the result, it took someone else 4 hours that he was billed per hour for. Because I literally said to him, oh, I can fix that in 5 minutes. He's like, what? A couple of months ago, I paid for 4 hours of time for that. I'm like, well,
did he pay for 4 hours of time or 4 hour, the value of 4 hours of time that person had that he didn't have?
Well,
like you
if
could
that
say
person had done it effectively, I wouldn't need to do it in 5 minutes. So he paid for 4 hours of, I think, learning curve. And the person didn't learn it real well.
Which is one of the challenges, right? Is that, and why we get, the bill could have ended up being exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, why am I paying you for 5 minutes of work when I paid that person for 4 hours of work the same thing? Why would I pay him the same thing? It's because you had other things that allowed you to do it in 4 minutes, but took time, effort, and energy to gain that knowledge.
Right.
Which is why you could do it in 5 minutes and then be done. And you would sit around, be like, right. Oh, what am I going to do now? Because I have nothing on my list to do. I did that in 5 minutes, not.
Correct.
And I built.
Uh-oh, did I lose you? Oh boy, lost Tom. Never a good thing. All right, hopefully you can still see me. I'm going to double check that.
Like it was.
Oh, you faded out on me, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay. We got to the word bill, and that's where we stopped. Okay. You froze like this.
Awesome. Just like that?
Yeah, something like that.
All right. So as we think about, and I'm curious, knowing that that's what motivates you, do you take the time, effort, and energy to do that every night? So that you're
which that?
Create that list or look at your calendar, make sure that it's full, and that motivates you to get up and start work the next day?
I have gotten very good at not looking at my calendar until late in the day for the next day. Like someone asked me over the weekend about something today, and I haven't looked at my calendar for Monday yet. And they were very surprised that I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I'm like, I looked at yesterday around 4 p.m. I'm like, oh, wow. I only have one thing tomorrow. And
why did
because I knew I had a list of things I had to do, I was happy that I didn't have a lot of meetings.
So to me, there's something about that that's a little counterintuitive. I mean, I think I understand why, especially because it was the weekend. And if you wanted to get up and be motivated today, why would every day, the end of the day, you either look at your calendar and say it's full or create that list so that you're motivated to get up and get right into the next day?
Well, I'm usually motivated to do what I do because I like to work.
Okay.
And I find
that's another challenge.
What? Being liking work?
Yeah.
Wait. You don't like your work?
I like my work. That doesn't mean
Okay.
I always like to work.
Oh, see, I like to work.
I understand that.
I've always liked to work. In fact, I struggle sometimes when I'm not working. I've had to really get better at that over the years.
Or different. One of the two.
Different. Yeah. Used to be that a week of vacation was just horrible for me. I just didn't
Interesting.
I didn't like being away from work. And now I'm
to think about there.
Well, I'm better about it now. Like I didn't work Friday and I literally put my phone on do not disturb Friday morning. Didn't deal with any of it.
That's good.
Yeah. And didn't have any regret around it for once.
Even better.
Right.
So
and
do you have
the
your
world
one thing?
didn't come to a close. Everything didn't go haywire.
Correct.
We're still here today.
Yes, we are. So do you have your one thing?
Yeah, I think when it is challenging to motivate myself is either when there's nothing to do, nothing set to do, like it's got to be done, or when there's everything to do and it all seems of equal importance. So if that list of 20 things, I cut it down to 5 that I've got to get finished today. A couple are super simple. Dry cleaners, put air in the tire, take the package back, boom. Those are collectively 45 minutes tops. There are 2 work things I need to do that are pretty important for today that I need to get finished. So if those 5 things get done, and if I'm good, probably by noon they should be finished. And then I can work on some of the other things on that list. And that motivates me to think, I'll tell you tomorrow how many I get finished of the 20. 10 would be a good day.
Maybe 2 would be a good day.
Right. Yeah. I haven't
Well,
looked
you
at
don't judge it.
Well, looking at my tire, putting air in my tire might be a really important one.
Which you say might only take 45 minutes, but what if you can't drive there?
Then it's calling AAA.
Yeah.
Steven's with us this morning, Tom, and I want to get one of his comments in. He has a comment about writing things down, commit them to memory, write in print, not cursive, then annotate it using AI, ask AI what to do next. That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure how AI would know what I should do next. I'm almost tempted to give it the list of things and see if it prioritizes differently than I do.
I would imagine it would, because it doesn't have your knowledge, experience, or perspective.
Right, which is the struggle for AI, right?
Yeah, how could it individualize something? Because it would individualize it to the masses, or what it determines is a priority. Doesn't mean everyone else would do it that way.
And it probably doesn't know that the place where I need to get air in the tire and where the dry cleaners are, they're one-way roads that don't intersect very easily. So the sequence of that actually makes a big difference.
Sure.
Right. But it's an interesting idea. And I also, Stephen asked, how much time do you spend running your group, like filtering articles and whatnot? We spend a fair amount of time running our group. We split between the 2 of us. And it's funny, I don't feel like it's time running the group. I feel like it's time working with friends.
Or sharing value.
Right. So it doesn't feel like work to me.
Even though you like your work.
I do like my work.
So it wouldn't be the worst thing if it felt like work.
Correct. I do like what I do. I haven't always liked what I've done.
So that was back before you knew about judgment and the impact of judgment.
What's your one thing?
I think it's sort of similar to yours. I think in some regard is that I think motivating me and the idea of it being challenging. I think we all struggle if we don't have, like, what is that purpose? What is that outcome? What is that result that we're trying to achieve? Or the concept of it. And I think one of the things that I like to think about in that is that I have no idea what the outcome could be from any action that I take. And so part of my motivation is I do know that I've taken actions in the past that have led to results that have helped me to learn things.
Mm-hmm.
Many of which I'm very happy that I took those actions, even though I had no idea what the outcome might be. And so it's motivating to me to say, what could I do today that my future self will thank you for? If I don't do anything, there's not likely going to be any sort of future results. And I think that, to me, turns into missed opportunities. And it's motivating to know that by taking an action, there are results we'll get today and results we'll get in the future.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, if you're struggling to get results, if you're trying to figure out what you can do to have that to-do list to motivate yourself, or to figure out how to work more, work less, work more effectively. I'm sorry, my cat just started playing with the wire next to me and I got distracted. Whatever that is for you, we have our Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program. It's an opportunity for you to work with Tom and me to just figure out how to go forward. If you're stuck on something, if you're trying to find a more effective way to go forward, we can help you. We'd love to help you. We'd love to talk about what that might look like. It's as simple as contacting Tom or me, or going to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. And I can tell you, Tom and I are putting together a couple things going forward. We've got a few little cool things coming along. There might be something tied to our 1,000th episode. I think that's coming up.
Yep.
Or what?
64.
64 away? That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. And
seems like right around the corner.
Yes. Depending on how many Wednesdays we take off and any other days that we may take off around the holidays. So we'll see.
Could happen. How that gets through. That's it.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us today. Stephen, thanks for your thoughts and ideas. We appreciate you sharing them. For those of you who are listening to this later, watching it later, or listening to the podcast, and there's not the opportunity for you to comment, please feel free to join us in our Sculpture Business group, Facebook group, where you can share your thoughts and ideas there and benefit from the thoughts and ideas of others. So we look forward to seeing you in that group. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you got to do it, embrace the renegading you. So worth it.
All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon.